Hi, welcome to Maji Mommies. My name is Kristen Williams, and we're going to talk today a little bit about how to get the most out of your children's literature. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the library or the bookstore and analyze the books that you're interested in bringing home. You'll ask yourself questions like, are the morals and lessons taught in this book congruent with the morals and lessons that we have in our own household? You'll also ask, how is this book going to make my child feel about him or herself, or about our people? This is incredibly important. I've made the personal mistake of bringing a book home and thinking that it would be a great read. Point taken, African American poetry, where could you go wrong? Well, I brought the book home and bam, on the first page is a poem by Phyllis Wheatley. I love Phyllis Wheatley. I love that she was able to become a poet in the days of slavery. And her story is one that I definitely want to teach my son when he gets to the right age, so he can really think about, issues regarding slavery and what type of things slavery might make you say, especially the type of poetry that she wrote. Phyllis Wheatley's controversial because, let me read it for you. "'Twas mercy that brought me from my pagan land, taught my benighted soul to understand." I mean, I'm not feeling it. "Some view our sable race with scornful eye. Their color is a diabolic dye. Remember, Christians, Negroes black as Cain, may be refined and join the angelic train." I'm feeling away, right? It's not cool. There's some elements here. She's trying to say that through Christianity, God sees blacks and whites as equals. And that's a little bit liberating, but at the same time, what is my son going to think about him or herself get it from reading this poem, right? So, and there are other really good poems in this book, but I just thought that when I first opened it up, that's not something that I'm going to want to read to my son. I'm going to have to skip over that page, and maybe some other poems in there as well. So analyze the books that you're interested in bringing home first. Ask those really, really important questions. Books are just like television nowadays. A lot of books are pushing agendas that you are not really ready for. So carefully scrutinize them. Now, once you get some good books, you bring them home, find a special place in your home to read them to your little baby or child or even preteen. Or if your teenager is cool with reading books with you, find a place. Do that reading every single day at the same time to create a stable routine for your child. Children thrive off of routine and stability, right? It gives them a sense of security, and we want to embrace that in the way that we're reading our books. So at our home, we read books right before we go to sleep. That's a traditional way to do it, but you could do it before they go to school or after they get home from school or at a certain time of day, whatever you want to do. Just make sure that you're doing it at the same time. And you could even set like a quota for yourself. My husband wants me to read 13 books a day to our 9-month-old, so maybe you don't have to aim that high. I don't know. I don't always meet it. I'm not gonna lie, but we try to read to the baby every day because we feel that it's incredibly important. So once you find a book that you really love, my favorite, Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters by John Steptoe, you are going to have your child. You're going to read the title and who the author is and who it's illustrated by, so that your child can form great relationships with authors and illustrators and know who they like to read. But after you read that, then you're going to ask your child to hypothesize about what they think is going to happen in this story based just off of what they see on the cover here. Now you're going to ask questions throughout the book that emphasize 4 main points. You're going to do observation, empathy, comprehension, and personalization. Okay? So this is observation, when you're hypothesizing about what they think is going to happen, right? And you'll ask questions that your child can at least understand if they can't actually answer you, or if your child's too young to even understand, you're just practicing allowing them to hear so many words a day and listening to the inflection of your voice. So reading is still incredibly important, even when they're in the womb. You want to get them prepared so that they can later on communicate. I could go on for hours about why you should read to your child, so let me just keep going. So have them look at the pictures and ask questions that are age appropriate. So how many birds do you see in the picture? Or what color is the pot there? What do you think she's doing? Blah, blah, blah. Other questions you're going to ask are empathy questions. So you'll say, how do you think this character feels? And then the next time you read it, or maybe at the next page, you'll say, well, how do you think this character feels? So get the story from different perspectives. It makes it fun, a little more interesting, right? When you get to the middle of the story, backtrack with your child and say, how did we get into this position here? What do you think is going to happen? How will they get out of this position? What would you do in the story, right? Back to that sort of empathy. And so this is comprehension, where you're asking your child to tell you what is happening in the story, okay? Now, once you get to the end of the story, you're going to, again, ask, well, is this what you thought was going to happen? What's happened? And then once you really get a good idea of, what they're pulling from the story, then you can really play with what morals, you can get from that story. What really was important to them. Personalize it. So what was your favorite part of the story? You've already talked about what they would do in that situation. You can say, do you remember when you were in a similar situation? This is great for books that have specific morals like bullying or talking to strangers, because it really does become a personal issue then. So every time they read that, they're even a little bit more emboldened to do what they need to do in their own life. But no matter how simple the story is, you can always pull a moral from it. I know we have a book called Joshua by the Sea, and it's like 5 pages long, but it has a family there, and they're at the beach. So we always talk about at the end of the story how much we love being together as a family and how important that is. It's a moral of ours for us to spend time together. So again, you're going to ask observation questions, empathy questions, comprehension questions, and personalization questions. You want your child to form personal relationships with these stories, so that later on, maybe if they're having a special, issue, then you can go to that story that is going to help them. And also, it's just a great way for you to really mold your family around some core values and illustrate that to your child without them having to actually go through situations. It's great to prepare them ahead of time. So that really concludes our story of how to get the most out of your books. Just get those important questions. And you can even, let me just add one more thing. My son really likes to turn the pages. So if you're at that point with your baby, then they can turn the pages for you. Or one person read a page and the other person read a page. Or have your child say specific lines that are either, things that you've memorized from the past, or those catchphrases in some of those books. But thank you all for spending time with me today. I hope that you liked my little demonstration on how to get the most out of your children's books. Please like and share our Facebook page or website or Pinterest. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks.